Unscripted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and P-Dubs Unscripted. As you can see, we have a guest joining us here today. We have Maggie Walsh joining us.
Hi everyone. It's good to be back.
Good to have you back here. And we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here with Mike's situation, which hopefully we can get figured out. Normally when it's just the two of us, we don't have to worry about this. But when we have a third guest, it creates a little bit of problems right now.
Yeah, so I'm actually, encroaching on Pastor Donald's personal bubble right now. So if he appears slightly uncomfortable, that's why. Right, buddy?
He's in my bubble for those not watching online. But yeah, so Maggie wanted to come in and interview Pastor, and I don't know what to expect from this. I'm a little worried. I think Pastor is too.
Yeah, slightly nervous.
Well, it's Pastor Appreciation Month, apparently, and it's also the month of both of your birthdays. So I thought, what better to do on the podcast than to, get to know, for everybody out there, they can get to know our pastors a little bit better.
Do they want to know us?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see how many views this podcast gets.
Yeah. All right, fire away.
All right. So I did, I asked for help from some of our middle schoolers this afternoon in my elective. So one of the questions was, what made you decide to follow Jesus?
Yeah, I guess for me, I always grew up in the church. I grew up at my home church, St. Matthew Barrington, and just, it was just a constant part of our life that it was you're going to be in church every Sunday, and it's just kind of grew from there. I never really knew a time not being in church.
Yeah, I would say same thing for me. Parents, we're going to church, it's Sunday, and then when you're going to school, I got to go to this school, so you begin to understand the life of, someone at Immanuel who believes in Jesus, and so yeah, it was always a part of my life, the prayers at home, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so similar, didn't go to school here or Lutheran school until college, but it was just part of our everyday routine.
Yeah. I will say that there were times later in life where I felt closer to God. And so I began to understand my faith in a more real, tangible way, if that's a way to say it. Or I experienced God active in my life where I didn't really understand or fully know when I was younger.
Yeah, thinking just those reassurances throughout life, whether the times of doubting myself, I see God putting people to reassure in times of doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember one time it was more than one time. My mom had a Lutheran hymnal, and it used to, it was the 1941 one, a red hymnal. Well, her cover was leather black, and that's what she got for confirmation. And I remember at times as a kid, I'd open up that hymnal and I'd go to the front part, which is now which to service, and I would act like I was the pastor, leading the liturgy all by myself,
Wow.
So it didn't happen a lot, but I do have memories of that. Not that I ever really actively considered being a pastor, but that was one thing where I kind of took things on my own kind of thing.
So I'm curious to know what is going through your head while you're giving a sermon. So obviously you write your sermons the week before. And I think you see the pastor giving a sermon every week, and you don't really, it seems very natural. So you don't think of it as it's public speaking. It's the same thing that you do in speech class in college, and everybody dreads it in a way. But you don't often think about it because it's just what you do every week. Do you feel that same way? Do you ever get nervous?
Okay, I guess I can start. Not as nervous as I used to be. I think, when you're talking, I was thinking about this, and I think maybe we've referenced this before, Seinfeld, where he said, more people are afraid of public speaking than death. The number one fear people have is public speaking. Death is number two, and he's more people would rather be in the coffin than speaking at the funeral. And so, I remember when I first was, whether I was on my internship in vicarage or even maybe as a field worker at seminary, being not being able to sleep the night before. because I was so nervous. And like, I think back to even like when I was like best man for my middle brother's wedding, my hand was shaking the whole time with the piece of paper giving the best man speech. Or like when I got ordained, like my legs were shaking. Thankfully I had the robe on. But now, since I've been a pastor for 14 years now, I don't think I have that same nervousness. There is some nervousness, and I always think of like President Meyer, my seminary, saying, you should be a little nervous before you preach because you are doing a big thing, sharing God's word. And I think it was him that was the first one where I heard the kind of the analogy with a rubber band. Like a rubber band is useless without any stress on it. And then when it has a little bit of stress, it does what it's supposed to. And kind of that same analogy, like, a little stress is good. It works, helps you out. And like, as you're talking about that first initial question, like what's going through your mind, just kind of thinking what's coming next in the flow or like where I am. I'll admit there are sometimes you do get distracted when you see people moving around. I think that happened this week. Like I was preaching, I think it was 10:30, and I noticed like our two elders in the back move somewhere and start talking or move, and they were not even in the narthex. They were by the stairs going up to the gym. I was like, what's going on up there? And I think I stumbled a little bit because that movement sometimes can get you thrown off a little bit because you're like, what's going on? But I'm just trying to think, okay, what's coming up? I know kind of the flow of my message and what's coming up next.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those things, particularly the thing of like looking up and seeing activity or maybe someone's face, or maybe they're not even looking at you, or the timing of when someone gets up and you think, oh boy, did I just offend them? So it is kind of an amazing thing, at least in my head, of like the myriad of thoughts that are playing off while I'm talking. And, it's like you're noticing these things and they're in your head, but you're still communicating what you're supposed to. So it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah. And, nervous. I would agree with Pastor Donald that my first time preaching at Immanuel, where I grew up, I was really nervous. I was like rehearsing that sermon. I had it on paper, rehearsing the delivery, but yet still, even now, 15 years later, I would say I'm most nervous on the way into Saturday church, because it's the first time that I will convey, or I will most times even say it out loud. And there's many times where I'm like, I'm driving and I'm thinking, oh Lord, I just need a beginning. Give me a beginning, and then I can kind of go. And I feel like I'm really relying on Him. So, yeah, I've had a lot of moments of nervousness, and that probably has a lot to do with like I don't type up my sermons anymore. I think in thought blocks. So perhaps that makes me feel like that on the drive in. But once I got one under my belt on Saturday, and it was like, well, whether it went good or not so good in your own mind, then it's like waking up the next morning going, now what did I say? People were saying, complimentary things. I'm like, well, I hope I say it again the right way. So, yeah.
But yeah, it's that kind of, because like, as you're kind of alluding to, like, I know my process for writing sermons have changed over the years where, I don't rehearse it as much because I think it comes off more natural, just, getting up there Saturday. And that is kind of that sense of getting the feel for it. And then even like kind of being mindful throughout the service when something triggers in my mind, like in something we sing or something maybe that was read in the readings that didn't stand out to me when I was reading through. I was like, ooh, that can tie in. And then trying to work it where like, when I did rehearse my sermons more, I'd be more hesitant to work that in because I was like, oh, I know the flow. I say this, that triggers and goes into this part of my sermon. But now I'm like, okay, I feel more comfortable like going, like adding that in. Like, okay, I know the general theme and the thought process of that. And so it makes it easier. And also like understanding the congregation, like knowing different services have different personalities when it comes to preaching. And maybe we've talked about it here, but sometimes it's one of those like you say something at 5:00 and they laugh at what you say, and then you're like, okay, they're gonna laugh at the other services, and then they don't laugh, and it's like you kind of plan for it when they do it once, and then there's like, oh, nobody.
Yeah.
And I don't know about P-Dubs here, but I know sometimes I feel like sermons that I feel like, oh, I don't know, like I'm doing my best, but I just don't know if I'm feeling this sermon. But a lot of times those ones are when people come out like, that was a really good message. And I'm just like, man, I was nervous about that one. And even in my thought process at times, preaching, it's like, I see why I'm connecting these points, but is everybody else seeing that connection? And are they tracking with what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And along those lines, like we're going through the text throughout the week in our preparations, and there could be a whole host of like avenues that we could go down. And we like them because it's like, oh, this is really important to know. But you only have so much time. And so, like, I find sometimes, depending on which service it is, I might, in my mind, say, I'm going to bring this point over and leave that one out from Saturday to Sunday, 8 o'clock, or something like that. But a lot of times it's trying to hone in, and that's my struggle, because I just want to share. Like, I want to share, like, what I have taken in, and I think it's, worthy relative to the reading kind of thing. So sometimes trying to leave out, like, I'll walk away going, oh, I left that one out. Did it matter? So you're always wondering.
Or like, for me, it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that sooner? Like it triggers later. And like I was thinking, a little behind the scenes curtain, like when we first started the podcast, we had the deeper dive, which is kind of speaks what P-Dubs was saying, that there's so much you want to share, but you don't do it every weekend in the message. So that's where we had the deeper dive podcast, where we would go deeper into what we were preaching that previous weekend. And I don't know, I always thought it was funny because most of the times I don't think either of us had our sermons written when we did the deeper dive. Yeah. And we'd always like, well, that was a great sermon you had this past weekend. When I didn't hear his and he didn't hear mine, right. But we're just like, good job.
Well, let's see. I'll go with a slightly easier question. Do you have a favorite event that we do here at Immanuel?
Well, there's so many good ones.
Are you just trying to get us to promote the trunk or treat this weekend?
Well, I mean, I was kind of hoping I could, lead into that. I was hoping maybe one of you would say the trunk or treat, because the trunk or treat is coming up this weekend.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but I thought, I don't know. But you're more astute.
Obviously I think one of my favorite things is Shining Stars, because I love baseball. And I get to play some baseball, talk some Jesus. And if it's a nice week out, it is such a great week to just get to play baseball. And then probably other ones would be like the mission trips or the youth gatherings, like those times where, like, I don't know, I feel like on mission trips and youth gatherings, you get to connect with those groups of people more because it's a more relaxed setting. And you can have more like just general conversations where you get to know one another. And to me, that is a big part of like ministry, is those relationships with people. Like I look back to seminary, one of my favorite professors of all time is Dr. Seleska, who was an Old Testament prof. And, I don't like Hebrew that much, but I loved my classes with him, even though it was a lot of Hebrew based. But I'm like, I look at my connection with Dr. Seleska as a professor and just my time at the seminary. I got to know him mainly for the first year and a half through playing pickup basketball. And so that kind of almost lowered the defenses of, this is a professor, this is somebody I play basketball with, and I can build this relationship where I'm like, hey, I trust this person. I can go to him with questions, whether it's theological or just ministry related. And so that's what I hope comes about from like mission trips or those trips where it's like they get to see you as a normal human being and build those relationships where that builds that trust, where they see you as somebody they know they can trust and know you as a pastor, they can come to you.
Yeah, I would say if you asked me that question when I was associate, because I did more mission trips when I was associate, and I always thought to myself, this feels like my sweet spot, because for everything that PD just said, like I could really interact on a less formal level, fun level, and I really felt like we could really live our faith by the actions that we were doing. I love that, in my role now, I can't really do that much, but doesn't mean I don't love it. So like, I would love going out on, like, sounds horrible, like when there was a bad storm and alert group would go out, and I'd go either locally or wherever, I'd be the guy who just like carried all the stuff, all the brush, and I loved doing that, just getting down in there and cleaning up. Nobody was really relying heavily on me. I could just participate. So I think that's a differentiator for me. So in that regard, trunk or treat and community meal, ding, 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 because that's both parties, both ministries happening there this Sunday, where I can go to an event like trunk or treat and just be myself. I'm not like leading or directing anything. So I really enjoy sitting at my car and greeting everybody who comes by. And that I really love. And then walking around, just greeting people. And then same with community meal. Like they've gotten to a point where Pastor Donald and I, we don't have a formal role like of a task to put the meal on while we pitch in where we need to help out. It's the going around talking to people. That's what I really like, because I feel like we're, connecting relational dots,
Yeah, well, and when it comes to like church services, I would say probably my two favorite services are Good Friday and Christmas Eve. Like I love Good Friday with getting darker and darker, and then the big fancy word, the strepitus, the slamming of the Bible, or our 2x4, which Maggie, was it this year you got to do that?
Yeah, I had so much fun.
But yeah, the big clack at the end of the service when like signifying Jesus dying. And I don't know, I just like the imagery of that service getting darker. And then, Christmas Eve with singing Silent Night at the end with the candles. Like that's why every year you always see me taking pictures, because I think it's such an awesome view looking out to the congregation and just seeing everybody lit up by the candles.
There's a lot to be said for the Christmas spirit. It is alive and well.
Oh, yeah.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, all of those. Easter has always been my favorite. And I don't know, I get so excited and pumped up, just because of what Jesus did. And I just want to share that so vigorously,
I think you do a really good job of that.
Oh.
Like you do bring a lot of energy on,
I feel like that's a day to really bring it, and it's not forced. It is how I feel, and so I hope people sense that. And that's like, poor Pastor Donald, we have a game plan. Well, I'm going to say this and you say that, and I say this and you say that. And then I get so excited, I just keep saying it. And he's like, oh, I thought it was my turn, and I can see him like choking through. And then we do a high five or whatever we do. I think that's okay, and like, even like the whole, I think Pastor Tom kind of introduced this, like surprising people with, he is risen. And I really like that. I like getting people to jump like, what was that?
Well, that's what I did on Good Friday with the...
Right.
Yeah, you really...
Well, I think of like two stories as you were talking, like A will go first with the vigor and the excitement for Easter. I think of that one year when you were talking about ringing the bell and you had the bell that's like a confirmation class gift from like the 50s that sits in my office. And we busted out for the ending and the beginning of the school year where we ring it to signify the close and the start of the school year. You brought out for an Easter sermon and you dropped it and kind of like made the cross, bent the cross on top of it. But with Good Friday, I always think of the story like when we had you carry it in and pretend to fall and see if anybody would help you up. And was it Art Just? Mm-hmm. Arthur just saw him fall and was like, Pastor, are you okay? And didn't realize that it was all a stage fall.
Yeah. Yeah, that poor guy, he was so concerned for me because Pastor Tom, when I went down, Pastor Tom said, can anybody help him? Kind of like Simon of Cyrene. And then Arthur was right there. And then Tim Shadig also was on. So they were both like giving me a shoulder to lean on. And the whole way, Pastor, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, Art. Thank you so much. I just like... Oh, I remember one that was funny. I was preaching one day and it was about distractions. And I pretended that I was getting texts from my friend who I went to seminary with. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. My friend Ben, who is also a pastor, he's asking if I'm preaching. I'm like, I'm just going to answer him. I pretended like I'm answering. Like I told him, yeah, I'm preaching right now. And then all of a sudden, hold on a second. he wants me to take a selfie with you. Would you mind? And so I kind of did one of these, and then I don't know, there was one more element to that, and then I went into talking all about distractions, right? So at the end of the service, I thought everybody would have picked up that this was a farce, right? Like, I'm making this up.
Yeah.
Someone came out and said, Pastor, you talk about distractions. You should probably leave your cell phone, off to the side so you don't get these text messages.
Wow.
But yeah, so like, and even as you're talking, I was thinking about like, that's one that I think the joys of our ministry together is like the fun that we have when like leading worship. Because when you're talking about distractions, it reminded me of when you were talking about like giving up something for Lent and being tempted, and you're talking about Mountain Dew and how like after like the first time I heard that sound, I was like, I'm going to go buy a 20 ounce of Mountain Dew. And at the 10:30 service, in the middle of his sermon, I'm going to bring him a 20 ounce of Mountain Dew and see what he does. Or the Advent one where you talked about loving chocolate cake.
Oh, yeah.
And I hid the chocolate cake in the pulpit and brought it out at the end as surprise. So like, I like that we can have those joking and like, yes, we take what we do seriously, but we can still have fun and show the congregation that we have fun and that we enjoy doing what we do.
Yeah.
Well, and we have a lot of fun in the office too. We have the chalkboard with the days since our last nonsense.
Yeah.
And it never goes up. And that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah. I think it took me a while to figure out, well, shouldn't it always be 0? Or like, and then I'm like, is it a bad thing if we start incrementing? And so I'm like, okay, now I understand. But the other one is like, one of our members, how many bags of, yard waste they've put together over the year. Oh, that's
close
great.
To 100.
Oh, yeah, it's epic. I don't think any church could rival it.
And we can't forget about Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain the Duncan Keith?
Well, Duncan has kind of been on the... We talked about it in one of the episodes, for sure. I mean, we have... Well, it's like the elf on a shelf, but it's Keith on a wreath. Duncan Keith, who used to play for the Blackhawks. Now, sadly, he's retired.
But yeah, and I think what had happened was like somehow we were talking because you and your sister loved Duncan Keith more, probably Shelley.
It actually only started because we ended up with the Keith on a wreath because she went to the game, she didn't get one because it was the first however many fans. We went to my uncle's house and he had one, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, you got a Duncan Keith on a wreath!" And he gave it to her, and we just started. It was so,
But then we were talking because I said, I was at that game because my nephew had a sled hockey game. And so I was in the stadium at like 1 o'clock and it was a 6 o'clock game. So they gave it to us when we came in and we were talking about that. I'm like, well, I have one. It just sits in my closet. So now it's become like an unofficial mascot for the office.
Oh, yeah.
Where he gets moved around from time to time. He has outfits. He gets taken on field trips out of the state. He's been to Disney more times than I've been to Disney.
Yeah. He has an Instagram.
He does.
It's called... Mini Keith. Feel free to follow if you.
Yeah, and like, because I think it was Emma or somebody. I think it was Emma because I was giving her the Immanuel Kids magnets this weekend, and she noticed the picture that you put on my bookshelf or on the bookcase or on the shelf, file cabinet. That's the two mini Keiths on a wreath sitting in the grass. And she was like, I was like, I don't know, Maggie just took the picture and then gave it to me.
Oh, yeah. Pretend you don't know. Pretend you don't understand. Sure.
But yeah, so it becomes like our joke. Like we do move around sometimes at Christmas. Sometimes we put him by the manger scene.
Yeah. Or in the manger scene.
But yeah, and he has a Christmas sweater. And yeah, it's a fun little thing that gets moved around. And I don't know, like I heard it was you that started that there's a big kind of circular Donald Duck stuffed toy.
Well, I don't actually know where that came from. I mean, it just kind of appeared and then it ended up in my mailbox. And honestly, I don't know where it is now.
It's in my office. So like one day I came in and there's this like stuffed Donald Duck that's very round, just sitting in the mailbox outside my office. I was like, where did this come from? And then somebody said it was you. I'm like, well, maybe we should just have this be, let's just throw them to random people in the office and have it put it in their mailbox and have them pass it along to somebody else. So I think you put it back in my office. So now he's just sitting.
I don't think I did.
Well,
because it was in my mailbox. Someone must have taken it out of my mailbox.
We got to go to the cameras.
Yeah.
And so now it's just sitting on my bookshelf. Maybe we got to pass it along to somebody else because I don't need them sitting on my bookshelf anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, it's kind of just really you, myself, Jenny, Maggie, and then probably Dr. Calendo or Angie Roselle that have like the mailbox put outside, unless we just put on people's desks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or under their desks. Let's see. Should we go to another question? I have a couple categories.
Yeah, is there a caller on the line?
Anyways, all right. I've got a couple, questions about being a pastor and about, Christianity. And then I've got some questions about just you. But I'll give you another. Let's see. If you could go back in time and meet any biblical character other than Jesus, who would it be?
I know you got one.
We'll go a random one, but maybe like Ehud, because I like that story of Ehud because one of the big parts of it that he was left-handed. Like I remember in seminary, one of the intramural teams was called like Ehud, the left-handed assassin. Based on being a left-handed person, I don't feel we get represented in the Bible with people that are left-handed. And since that's a central part of Ehud, it would be cool to hear his story or Gideon, because I always like the story of Gideon and like how he was kind of testing God, like, God, I know you're saying to do this, but do this. God does it. He's like, okay, I know you did this, but can you do one more test? And I can't imagine being like part of the 300 going up against like 130,000, like, and being like, okay, God, are you really sure about this?
Yeah, I guess the first one that came to my mind was Paul, because like, how did he travel all those thousands of miles, either by foot or by boat? And just to hear the experiences that he saw around the world would really intrigue me a lot. And like, I feel like he's like an amazing outdoorsman. I don't know. I'm sure he came across some crazy like outdoor elements like storm, and which he did. He was shipwrecked and all of that stuff, imprisonment. I would just love to sit down and talk with him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh boy, I've got lots of questions here. I'm gonna have to narrow it down. All right. So you both grew up in the area. PD, you did not go to Immanuel for school. You went to Immanuel. Did you go like all the way through elementary school?
Real quick, he is the reason they used to go to Six Flags as school as 8th grade class president.
No way.
Yes, he speaks truth. We used to go to Springfield, Illinois on some highly educational trip, and the kids before us would always lament and groan about it. And so I got elected to be the class president of our big class of 14. And I don't think I should share this. Should I?
Go for it.
Oh, why not? So my campaign was based upon... Oh, boy. Now, I was a youngster, so my campaign was based upon the rock group Kiss. Okay, so that was big in our class. We had a couple of people who were big Kiss fans, and so you know how Kiss has their logo with that? And I said, if you like Kiss, look at this. Vote for Warren as your class president. That was my slogan. So I got voted in. I don't know what the count of the vote was. I don't even know who I was running against. But I said, hey, let's go to Six Flags, because it just opened like that year, and said, can we go to Six Flags Great America for our class trip? And at first it was met with, oh, no, we were going to Springfield. And so then I got the whole class to kind of keep bugging the teacher about it, and they relented and let us go. It was awesome.
So this is like your class. So like what C Camp in West Virginia is now. You went to Six Flags. Because I know when I was here, they went to Six Flags, but it was like their end of the year party. And I actually didn't go because I don't do roller coasters other than, the little or the smaller ones at Disney. But yeah, that was like it was separate from our, I don't know. We still went to West Virginia that year.
Right. Because I know like when I came on board here in 2016, I went on the mission trip, and then somehow I got finagled in going to Six Flags that school year. when I don't do roller coasters, I'm like, I haven't been to Six Flags since my 8th grade trip in 1999. And here, so I just would walk around, and I want to say like somehow like I got missed in getting a ticket. So then when we went to try to pay, they're like, you know what, just sneak in that way. And this was like not like us, but it was like the Six Flags employees just like, just kind of go around that way. We won't say anything. So I'm like, yes, I got in. I think I went 2 other times. But what I find amazing is when you went, American Eagle was there, and it is still there to this day. I don't think I would trust that roller coaster one bit.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was our end of year trip because we didn't have like a West Virginia or a Sea Camp. Those it was you just 8th grade had one trip, and at the end of the year, so it was usually educational, and and good for good learning. But we were all about fun, so it was good. Yeah, so. Is the Demon still at Six Flags?
I don't remember.
That was like the big, like fast loop-de-loop corkscrew thing, and then Willard's Whizzer was another one.
Oh, that one's still there.
That's the real old one.
That's the only one I honestly enjoyed.
Really? Yeah,
because it's pretty small.
Yeah, and you're not going upside down.
Yeah.
So, but you're going pretty fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my 8th grade year. I don't know what question that answered, but yeah.
Well, so my other question was what's one of your favorite memories of your time at Immanuel? But is that your favorite memory, or do you have another one?
As a student, I would say that was pretty much up there.
That's
yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'll leave it with that one.
Did you determine is the
Demon
still there?
I just texted somebody saying, is the Demon still at Six Flags? I know this person has a season membership. And he said, I think so. Why? So we think Demon is still at Six Flags. So for any people that go to Six Flags regularly, is the Demon still there? I have not been since prior to COVID. So
I haven't been in a long time. But I don't go on anything. Most things.
So your question, so I don't know if it was more to him, like growing up at Immanuel.
I have a question specifically for you.
Uh-oh.
And that is, what is the key to becoming the Jewel Cashier of the Year?
Have your 2 brothers work there and have all your brothers' friends vote for you?
So is this like how many people were they choosing from for this honor?
I think what it was like, hey, put your vote in for Cashier of the Year and Bagger of the Year, and you could have selected from any of the cashiers or baggers.
Out of the
whole store.
Oh, the store. So
the
this
store.
Isn't like
statewide. No, so here's what happens. So, we have the store. So I worked at the Barrington Jewel from 2007. Started as a bagger, turned 16, moved up to a cashier, and so they were, my oldest brother, I didn't work as much with him because he's 5 years older than me, but we had a little bit of overlap. But I worked more with my middle brother, and he worked in farm stand. And so I knew all the farm stand guys that my brother was tight with. And so they, I guess, had the idea of let's vote Donald in to be Cashier of the Year. And so that's what happened. And they voted in a bagger for Bagger of the Year. And that bagger and I then had to go to, I forgot what store, and participate in a checking bagging competition against the other stores in the area and their people who won Cashier and Bagger of the Year. And really, we just sat up in the break room of the store for 6-7 hours and only did a half hour of checking and bagging where they judged us. Needless to say, did not win that one. And so, we just sat up in the break room. We just talked the whole time because, I knew her well. She was a good friend. And so we're like, yep, let's just do this thing. And, got a special name tag that underneath my name said, Cashier of the Year. Got a little certificate. I don't know if I got a little pin because I know I had pins for, how many years, that I worked there. So, that's really all it was. It wasn't because I was that great of a cashier. I mean, I was decent. I knew all the PLUs that I needed to and had a probably decent time. Probably my biggest thing I would do wrong was talk more with my coworkers than the customer, talk more with my bagger or the cashiers near me. But so that's really all it was. It was a popularity contest. My brother's friends voted for me. And so, it's been downhill ever since there. Once you win something of the year, how do you come back? How do you top that?
Yeah, I don't know. Cashier, I don't know. That's a pretty big honor.
So Pastor Donald's always the model of like what a pastor should be, even in his prior life, Cashier of the Year. My first job was at Dale Standard, which is on the corner of Colfax and Northwest Highway, where the HP Sprinter is. If you know where that's, it's a gas station that's not using right now, not open. So one day we got this call. There's a stalled vehicle in some neighborhood in Inverness. So I go in a car with another guy, and we find the car in the neighborhood, and I don't know, I think I went with the mechanic, and we're looking at, how to get the car going. I don't know if we had the keys or whatever, but we're around the car, and he determines, no, we can't get this thing going. Let's go back and get the tow truck. Why we didn't bring the tow truck first, I don't know. So we go back, we get the tow truck. It says Dale Standard on the tow truck. I'm wearing my blue Amoco standard uniform, and we're out there, and we start hooking up the car to tow it. All of a sudden, here come two cops, lights rolling, flying in right behind us, and we're like, and they get out and they go, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're towing a car." He goes, "Well, you know whose it is, and this and that," and he's asking us all sorts of questions, and well, how do we know, you're legit? And I'm like, well, the tow truck. So I was not like the nicest kid. I was like, well, the tow truck says Dale Standard, and I'm wearing a uniform. And he didn't take kindly to that. Like, he thought I was sassing him. So at one point, he told us to just turn around, put our hands up onto the hood of the truck, and be quiet. And then he's like, searching us and frisking us. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to get arrested for doing our job. So I don't know. The mechanic must have said all he needed to say to prove that we were legit. He was asking for like IDs and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I'm 16. I don't have my IDs in my car back at the station. And thankfully, he had something. And then I think he must have called the station and says, do you know Mike and do you know Warren, to our boss? And he's like, yeah. And are they authorized to remove this vehicle? Yeah. So then we got let go. So that was, I could have been in the police blotter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not Cashier of the Year.
Yeah, I did not never had that issue at Shul.
What's one of the biggest challenges you faced while being a cashier? Like, I don't know. What was the key, really? Was it just that you had to scan the things quickly,
obviously people like when you scan the things quickly because, I don't know, maybe because I worked at a grocery store. I don't want to spend that much time at them, and waiting in line is like horrible. And if somebody's like really slow, because even now I'm still like, really? It's taking you this long to like ring something up? It's not that hard.
Well, now I get upset when there's not a self-checkout.
Yeah.
Like Aldi just got rid of all theirs, and I'm a little disappointed. Yeah.
Wow, I'm a self-checkout person.
Yeah. But
I don't know, like, and maybe this will sound bad, but probably dealing with some of the people.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the like friendliest of people at times, like, and that's the thing. I think I've mentioned that in that sermon. Maybe I've talked about how, like, sadly, as teenagers, we'd maybe come up with nicknames for customers we didn't care for, and based on things. And there was one lady in particular, not the nicest person. And like, I remember one time, like, this person kind of like yelling at me because my conveyor belt was dirty. I'm just like, okay, when I have a constant line of customers and they're putting their food or their groceries on the conveyor belt, do you want me to spray their food with the white cleaning stuff? Because trust me, I would clean my conveyor belt when I had no customers because I wanted to look busy, even when I wasn't busy. Clean the conveyor belt. Oh, let's go check to see if there's any hand baskets at the end of the aisle and put them back at the end of the register. Put them back by the entryway. Anything to get away or look busy so my bosses thought I was doing my work when I was just kind of goofing off. And I think it was that same person that was complaining about that. Like, even like her cat food, she'd be very particular and be like, if the bag weighs this much, this is how many cans I have. You don't need to take them out of there. I'm like, no, we still kind of do. And I want to say it was this person that was like, one time when the bagger put the beer underneath her car, the case of beer, and it kind of bounced a little bit. She's like, I need a different case because that's going to explode in my car because you shook it up when you put it on there. So it's just, I think it's just dealing with that type of stuff. Like once I did it, like learning the PLUs came pretty easy, and like, and I don't know, I still know some of the ones that I learned as a cashier like 20 years ago. Like 4011 was bananas, and Kathy Schmitty taught me that right before I became a cashier. So that was the first PLU I was taught. I don't buy bananas. I'm not a big banana fan, but I still remember 4011 and who trained me. And even with Kathy, it was always fun because I don't know, like not many people knew the game. I don't know why I knew it, but her and I would play buzz, where if the number had a 3 or a 7 or was a multiple of 7, it was a buzz. So it'd be like 1, 2, buzz, 4, 5, buzz, and just so on. And so 21 is a buzz. So if you had a 21, I'd always call her and just like buzz, and then we kind of play the game, and then she'd come get my 21. And I think that was another pain. Like, it was kind of silly to have like under 21-year-olds working on New Year's Eve, especially as a cashier, because every customer had some sort of liquor, so they'd always have to come and ring you out, or like come and ring that person out. And like, I don't know what the rules are now, but I want to say technically even then, like unless you were 18, you couldn't even bag the liquor because you might get drunk via osmosis touching the bottle or the case. But I could be like 17 and put the jewel sticker on the case. And because I had the jewel sticker, then I could touch it. Like, because, we got the sticker on. It's like, really? That makes a difference? And probably the other hard thing, like nobody liked short order because you didn't get a bagger. And if you were lucky enough to get a bagger, because we had a lot, somebody usually steal your bagger, or they'd send them on a job. It's like, I lost my bagger. Now I got to ring everything up. Then you'd get annoyed when somebody would be like, I got 27 items. Can I come through 15 or less? Or like, well, I got 10 of the same thing, so that counts as one item. No, it doesn't.
Let's see. I have a couple more questions here. How are we doing on time? How much time do I have left?
Well, right now we're at 42 minutes and 30 seconds.
Boy. All right.
So I don't know how much time. Like, we don't really ever have a set time.
Okay. Well, how about we do a couple of quick questions here? All right. First of all, one of the middle schoolers wanted me to ask, cats or dogs? And I'm pretty sure I know both of your answers.
Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah, figured. What's your favorite time of year?
Oh, wow.
I would say like spring or summer, just because I hate cold weather. I hate winter. I hate snow. So the warm weather, but fall's good because I love football. So football season's always good. But to me, it's more, I'd rather have the warm weather. Like I'd rather have it be 100 degrees outside than 0 degrees outside. So the less winter time, the better. So let's hope weather stays nice this winter, even though I think they predicted that it's going to be a really cold winter and possibly
that's what I heard.
And a lot more precipitation than normal. So not looking forward to the winter if that is true.
That's a tough one for me. I would say it's summer or fall. I like summer because, it could be 9 o'clock at night and it's still light out. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy long days and being outside.
Yeah.
But I do love the colors of the fall and all the fun stuff that goes on in the community, like Oktoberfest or other fests, and just seeing the change.
The trunk or treat, which is happening this Sunday.
Yeah, see, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a harvest festival.
Yes, the Pony Harvest Festival. If only we had little Sebastian or any tiny horses.
Yeah.
I love having a pony. I wish I had a pony.
For all our Seinfeld fans out there, gotta get, I feel like we should get some sort of commission from Seinfeld, or they should pay us for all the references we give to that show.
If anybody out there has any miniature horses that they'd like to donate just for a day, please send me an email. Okay, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I don't know, like, can't beat a good steak, but I would say in general, like, barbecue. Like, I really like barbecue restaurants, so, like, if it's good barbecue and, like, get to try the different types of barbecue sauces. So, like, give me a pulled pork or some brisket with some barbecue sauce. Like, that's good, but I do like tacos. Like, tacos are good, too, so probably those would be, then maybe third out of that would be, like, Italian food.
I would say pizza. Far and away. Yeah.
deep dish or tavern style?
Yes. Probably I have the thin crust more, but when I have like Lou Malnati's, I love it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with pizza. And I know you're a big supporter of Village Pizza out in Carpentersville area.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. If you had to watch one movie or movie franchise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh,
I know this is a difficult question because we have many conversations about movies and TV shows in the office.
yeah, like, I don't know, like, it's probably like a series. Like, I could go like Dark Knight or Harry Potter, but then I'm like, do I want a comedy? Because I could just laugh at like a Tommy Boy, Anchorman, or like Billy Madison. So it's really tough. Like, I would say probably one of my all-time favorite movies is Dark Knight, but maybe Shawshank Redemption, because I feel that's a movie I can watch no matter what, because it's just a great movie. So it's really hard to narrow down, like, do I go something action because I love action, or do I want to laugh? Like, I don't know, maybe it's TV shows, like, because I probably watch more TV shows than movies now just because it's less of a time commitment. Mm-hmm. And for TV, it'd either be The Simpsons or How I Met Your Mother would probably be the top two.
Really?
At least The Simpsons gives me, like, almost 800 episodes to pick from.
A lot of variety.
Which I would just stick to the first 10 seasons, which is, like, 300 episodes, but still that's a lot of variety. I know you're probably thinking I was going to say Parks or Rec or Office.
Or Arrested Development.
Yeah, but I'd probably go to How I Met Your Mother more than those, and just as like a fallback and comfort show.
So while I'm not like an overly crazed fan of this genre, but I always love the Star Wars movies. So like, especially the last few that came out, they were coming out like around Christmas time.
You mean like the 7, 8, 9? The Force
I
Awakens?
guess so. See, that's how bad of a fan I
No
don't.
way. I've never found anybody else who actually likes those movies.
So the last ones that came out in like 2020, 2021, 2020, I like those. I mean, nothing beats, the first one, Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Those far and away surpass everything for me. But I enjoyed, maybe it was the way they rolled them out and then they brought them out on Christmas Day or somewhere around them. Our family was kind of getting into that and like enjoying it. So I do like the ones in the middle, Return of the Sith or all, I didn't really get into.
Yeah.
But I find myself enjoying those movies a lot. And, but I can't say that I'm an over the board fan, like rabid fan. Like, see, like you said, 7, 8, 9, I guess so. I don't know.
Well, it's confusing the way they're.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the first movie is not called Star Wars. It's A New Hope. Thank you for all of our Star Wars fans.
There you go.
So, the original one with Obi-Wan, Sir Alec Guinness, was A New Hope. Gotta represent for all those Star Wars fans out there because I know they're a rabid fan base. We don't need the Star Wars fans coming to cancel PD and P-Dubs Unscripted. So
thank you for that.
Just want to correct that. They're almost as bad as the Swifties coming after you Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
I would also say any movie with Clint Eastwood in it is one of my favorites. So like from his long ago, they're called spaghetti westerns, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, those kinds of things, through where he was training, what was it, $1 Million Baby? He was a trainer for some girl boxer, right? That was an awesome one. To Gran Torino, loved all that. To The Mule. So I like Clint Eastwood movies a lot.
Dirty Harry movies.
Oh yeah, you feel lucky, punk.
And it's just crazy to think, like, you look at him now and he's like 90 and still making these because he was like in his 80s, 90s when he did The Mule.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the coolest place you've ever visited? Or like, is there a vacation that you went on or some kind of trip that you thought, wow, this was so cool or so much fun?
Yeah, we didn't do many vacations growing up, and I would say most of my travel has been work related.
Mission trips. So
like obviously like Cambodia, because that was a once in a lifetime experience, being able to see that, then going to Bangkok for a couple days. But I don't know, maybe because like I have this like love of San Diego, like because I think the weather's just perfect there, 70 degrees year round. You have beaches, you have mountains, and this last time in San Diego was truly awesome. Like seeing the megapod of like 500 dolphins swimming alongside the boat, that was pretty cool. And getting to see a panda because, well, we don't get them in the United States. So seeing the panda, those are probably ones that stick out a lot because like not really traveling much. Like I remember coming back from the Creation Museum when I went on my own for a conference and going to like the Louisville Slugger Museum. And that was really cool seeing like a bat that Babe Ruth held and thinking, you know, Babe Ruth held this bat, or I think they had a bat from Joe DiMaggio in his 56-game hit streak. So being a baseball nerd, I'm like, that's cool thinking that those guys held this bat.
I'd say Colorado's my favorite place to go, even though I haven't been there in so long. My sister lives there, and so I've been to a number of places in the mountains. So from like anywhere down to Pikes Peak, more into like Vail or Aspen. Aspen's beautiful. And on the way, there's this place called Glenwood Springs. And so it's like a hot springs, and then there's like beautiful waterfalls. So I enjoyed that a lot. So, yeah, just being out in the mountains is like, I could just be there all the time.
Let's see. Should I do one more question? In case people are getting bored, I mean.
Sure, because we're at 51 minutes, 52 minutes now, just about.
All right, let's see. I have to pick. Oh, okay. All right. It is Pastor Appreciation Month after all. So what do you admire most about your fellow pastor?
Oh, man. I think just like the way you do, like how you connect with people, like you engage really well with people, and like just the energy you bring when you preach, like and how animated and how engaging it is.
What I like about Pastor is that he is faithful and caring and supportive to the nth degree. If asked anything, he doesn't bat an eye about saying yes, even if it's something that's like out of his comfort zone. He's always ready to jump in and help. That's what I really admire about you. And it's like you don't even question it. And I always am amazed how when he's walking around, he can talk about any subject with anybody on a one-on-one. Like I've seen, a lot of fun conversations that you have with people. And I think that's really cool, the one-on-one aspect of getting to know people.
Aw.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we, on behalf of the office staff and the congregation, we all appreciate everything that you do, and we love having you as our pastors. And happy early birthday, by the way. We can't wait to celebrate your birthday this Sunday at the trunk or treat.
Yes.
Maybe I'm gonna get sick and not be there for trunk or treat. That's my birthday gift to myself.
Trunk or treat is from 2 to 4 p.m. in our parking lot, rain or shine. It's not gonna rain though.
With a community meal from 2 to 3:30. So
While supplies last.
While supplies last. So come get your burgers or hot dogs, I believe.
We also have bingo.
Bingo, yeah.
Have that bingo.
Gotta love that bingo.
And when does this come out? Wednesday?
Tomorrow, yeah. So we're recording this Tuesday, October 21st. So it will be coming out on Wednesday, October 22nd at 2 a.m.
Which means tomorrow, Thursday, October 23rd, we have our night of worship at 6:30 p.m.
Right. Our praise team's going to lead us through some worship. Pastor and I are going to have a conversation with Joe, our praise team director, around prayer. So it will be a great time to worship our Lord.
All right. Well, thank you, pastors, for the interview.
Yeah. Thank you, Maggie, for joining us. And everybody, God's blessings.
PD and P-Dubs Unscripted.